Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 16 overtures I couldn't live without. This is the sequel to 12 operas I couldn't live without. Now, I thought 12 operas was a lot, to be honest with you, because operas are big. I mean, they take up a lot of time. That's a lot of music. But you evidently had a very hard time limiting yourself to just 12, and I feel sorry for you. I feel bad about that. So I'm enlarging the situation somewhat. Of course, overtures are short, so you can sort of squeeze more of them in. But, I do want to say, as part of the rules of the game go here, limit yourself to 16. Just do 16. It's enough. It's really enough. I know it's hard. That's the point. You have to really think about what matters to you. And I think I found the lists of operas to be just marvelous. My goodness, there was so much terrific repertoire, both familiar works and unfamiliar works. And it shows just what an enormous range of interests you all have. It's fabulous. And quite frankly, how much broader that range of interest is than what you'll normally see in an opera house, because it's clearly based on the availability of recordings of the works in question, which, says something about our musical culture. It really does. So anyway, I have 16 overtures, and I was particularly interested in doing an overture video, because one of you in the comments, you guys are so great. We have such a nourishing dialogue, I think. I really do. It's just marvelous. And you mentioned the fact that overtures tend not to get played anymore at live concerts, because what you get is the, short contemporary work by the composer in residence or whatever that thing is. Now that music is tonal again, there's this whole market for overture length short pieces. And so the traditional overtures, the popular ones, tend to get bounced out. And now that everything is being streamed and whatnot, overtures used to be included as fillers on records, on discs. With a symphony, you needed something extra, you toss in a popular overture. They were draws as far as recordings went. You if you were doing unusual repertoire, you could always throw in a popular overture to hopefully attract the audience. I mean, that was the thinking anyway. But now that's all sort of fallen by the wayside, and so have so many overtures. The idea of where do you put the overture? How do you play it? It's really a very interesting question in terms of programming. And so I have my list and of 16. And when you do yours, you could do as many as 16. Let's put it that way. You can do less. If you can only think of less, that's fine. Just put in your 2 or 3 favorites. It's all right. If you can do 16, wonderful. Don't do more. Just don't do more, please. It's enough. No special honorable mentions or anything like that. Just 16. That's the max. And we'll take it from there. So here we go. Number 1. And this is in no particular order. And I just naturally tend to do one per composer. It's just the way I think. I don't duplicate, but that's me. It may not be you. If you like every Beethoven overture, throw them all in. Anyway, Mozart, Cosi fan tutte. God, I love that overture. It seems to me the apotheosis of gossip in music. I mean, it's just this. It's so conversationally brilliant. It blows my mind. I just love listening to it. It makes me chuckle every time I hear it. Next, Rossini. Oh, where do you pick Rossini? I could have picked 10 Rossinis, really, but I had to limit myself. I wanted to limit myself. And my favorite Rossini overture is La Scala di Seta, the Silken Ladder. What an extraordinary little piece in perfect sonata form that thing is. I mean, especially the second subject. Ya da da, ya ya da 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 da. Then you get the bird noises. It's hilariously funny. And it's brilliant. Incredibly difficult for the orchestra. That oboe solo at the beginning, the brilliant violin writing. And gosh, it's just It's just everything a Rossini overture should be, in my view, and just incredibly witty. And again, it speaks. It's like the Mozart. It speaks so vividly. You can almost imagine what's happening while you're listening to it in terms of the interaction between crazy people, which is what it is. It's phenomenal. So the Silken Ladder by Rossini, blows my mind. Beethoven, well, you got to have a Beethoven, don't you? The Consecration of the House. I love that overture. I have no idea why I love it so much. It was Beethoven's tribute to Handel, because it's a big fugue contrapuntal thing once it gets going. But until it gets going, it has all these odd little episodes, little fanfares with chuggy bassoons underneath, and a brilliant march at the opening, and it's just an amazing piece of music, and I love it. I just can't get enough of it. It's so brilliant when you play it with like drive. It has so much joy. It just bubbles with enthusiasm. Then, here's one you probably don't know too well. Kalliwoda, Johann Wenzel Kalliwoda. His concert overture number 16 in A minor. He wrote something like 24 concert overtures. And some smart person ought to get a hold of the whole bloody series of them and just record them all, so that we have, it'll all fit on, 4 discs or 3 discs or something. But they're really interesting pieces. At least some of them are, at least the ones I've heard. I mean, they haven't all been recorded, but number 16 in A minor, which is on a CPO disc, coupled with symphonies numbers 3 and 5, is a remarkable piece of music. It really is. I mean, it sounds almost like Proto-Sibelius, and it has incredibly cool tunes, and it's beautifully orchestrated, and oh my gosh, I just adore the thing. And the first time I heard it, I was just hooked. It just snagged me, and I've been hooked ever since. So if you get a chance to listen to that, do listen to it. I've talked about it before. It's really an amazing piece. Comes out of like nowhere and just hits you. Berlioz, the Corsaire. Yeah. Da 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 da. One of the most exciting and bracing. It's a sea piece, so it's bracing. It has like fresh wind in your sails and all of that stuff going on. It's just marvelous. And it's had some amazing recordings. Listen to Beecham do it. Holy mackerel. I mean, they just go crazy on it. Munch too. It's just one of those pieces that, I can't get enough of. And I'm always curious to hear new performances of it, because you really want to hear how they're going to like hit the rhythms, and if it's going to move fast enough, and how much energy, they can invest in whether the brass playing is going to be all those da 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 da, whether they get evenness of tone throughout the whole brass section as they're making those huge leaping things that they do at the end there. Wow, what a piece. Mendelssohn, the Hebrides. I mean, you grow up with it, right? It's a cartoon. It's like, all those Halloween cartoons and things that Warner Brothers did. Do, 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 do. I mean, everybody knows that, even if they don't know where it comes from, because they saw the cartoon when they were little. And these are concert overtures. I mean, there's a difference, of course, here. These are a mixture between overtures to actual like operas and other things, and concert overtures, which are freestanding, effectively symphonic poems. But symphonic poems will be a different category. So I get to makes me, they're it's 6 in one, a half dozen in the other. Some of these pieces really are tone poems, but the Hebrides is one. I mean, it's obviously a tone poem. And another water piece. Water and the ocean and the sea. I mean, they've given us so many marvelous pieces of music. I mean, it's like you really know that we all like evolved out of the primal sludge and crawled out of the water, because composers write so much about water. I mean, it's definitely in our DNA somewhere, isn't it? And the Hebrides is just fabulous, wonderfully amazing. Tchaikovsky, Romeo and Juliet. See, that's a concert overture. It's a tone poem, but it's fantasy overture. In those days, when Liszt was still inventing tone poems, if you wrote a tone poem, you called it an overture. And so, it's a matter of terminology, not a matter of musical concept as often as not. But Romeo and Juliet is just such an iconic work, and it's so effective. I mean, remember, it took Tchaikovsky a lot of effort. He revised it extensively. The earlier first version was recorded by Jeffrey Simon. When we hear it, we know that the revised version is better, as is always, almost always anyway, the case with these things. Maybe one exception is, Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk or Hindemith's Cardiac, but those were different things. Those were operas, and there's a whole other situation. But the revised, the one we know, the version we know of Romeo and Juliet is one of the most perfect creations anyone ever came up with, and it encapsulates everything that Tchaikovsky stands for: hysterical emotion, gorgeous lyrical melodies, brilliant orchestration. Oh my goodness, it's just phenomenal. And after Tchaikovsky, another overture, boy, this doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. Dvořák's the Hussite overture. It's a big, bold, patriotic extravaganza, and it's also gorgeously scored. It's sort of Dvořák's 1812 overture in a way, because it's based on that tune that's in Mavlast, dun dun da 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 da, ye who are warriors of God, that hymn that Czech people run around singing in the bathroom or whatever they do with it. It's just an exciting piece. Dvořák used it as his musical calling card. He conducted it when he was on tour in various places, and he pulled it out and did it all the time because it's 12 minutes long or so, and 12, 13 minutes, and it's just incredibly brilliant, fun, and kind of noisy, and so wonderfully scored. It was the inspiration, the audible inspiration for a lot of the similar sounds in Elgar, who actually played it under Dvořák. He played in the orchestra when Dvořák was conducting, and I think he did the Hussite, and I know he played in Dvořák's Sixth Symphony. And a lot of Elgar's sounds, his characteristic sounds, come out of Dvořák, and this overture particularly is very Elgarian. And listen, there's a moment in the middle of the Hussite overture that goes da 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 da, crash with a timpani roll, and then there's this sort of misty brass chorale with harps underneath it, just individual harp notes and all that. It is so Elgar. Oh my God, it's amazing. And you can hear that if you listen to Elgar's Cockaigne overture. However you pronounce it, Cockaigne, Cockaigne, whatever he calls it. I'd never figured it out. But oh, what a brilliant piece that is. So much fun. Incredibly enjoyable. A really exciting piece of music with lots of Dvořák moments in it, believe me. But it's, of course, vintage Elgar, especially when the organ comes clanking in at the very end. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece. It's another. You'll notice that a lot of these pieces that I'm listening to, Romeo and Juliet's tragic, of course, but most of these others are really just refreshing, bracing pieces that wake you up, that make you feel good, that are really vibrant, and that maybe that's the place that overtures have in my life, particularly. I mean, there are tragic overtures. There's the Brahms tragic overture. There's Schumann's Manfred. Lots of people, especially Germans, they'll do dismal overtures all the time. But I tend to like the peppier ones, I think, with really good tunes. And I played a lot of them in concert, so that's also part of it too. I mean, I like the idea of a vivid and powerful concert opener to whet the appetite, a palate cleanser, an amuse-gueule, whatever you want to call it. So after Elgar, Rimsky-Korsakov, the Russian Easter Overture. Oh, God, that's fun. Like most pieces by Rimsky, it has some timing issues. Takes a while to get going, and once it does, it seems to want to repeat things kind of a lot. But the scoring, oh, it's so beautiful. The tunes are so marvelous, and the ending is just a knockout. Wow, it's a lollapalooza of glittering bells and brazen Russian Orthodox chant stuff. And oh gosh, it's just tremendous. So the Russian Easter Overture is definitely on my list. Next, Samuel Barber, The School for Scandal. This is an underrated piece. He wrote it as his graduation thesis from Curtis the Curtis Institute in Philadelphia, where he was a student. And boy, is that a precocious piece. It also has terrific tunes. It's elegant. It's shapely. It's beautifully scored. It's an amazing piece. It really is for a young composer. It has such confidence and really enjoyable, catchy tunes. And it reminds me of Cosi fan tutte in some respects. It's more romantic. It's not, chatty, gossipy the way Mozart is, but it has a certain kind of elegance and sly wit to it that I think is almost Mozartian, and it hooked me the first time I heard it. It really did. I doesn't get too much play these days, I don't think, but it certainly deserves to be played much more often than it is. And along similar lines, here's an overture that really is quite similar conceptually, and actually in its sort of romantic ardor. Vaughan-Williams, The Wasps. Oh boy, has that got great tunes in it, doesn't it? The second subject. Wow. Oh, it's just lusciously, beautifully wonderful. Bernstein, the Candide Overture. First of all, it makes a great ringtone. The opening fanfare. It's a Rossini overture. It's a modern Rossini overture. And it's one of the funniest and most delightful pieces of music anybody ever wrote. It's of course, it probably is Bernstein's most popular orchestral piece, because it's 4 or 5 minutes long. It's just what a comic overture ought to be. And it's just effortlessly witty and brilliant and adorable in the way that it sends up its inspiration, in the way that it fits the model, and plays with the model. It's great. And the tunes, again, are amazing. Just phenomenal. Here's one that may not be on many lists. Well, the last 3 here are kind of interesting. Bach's The Overture to a Picaresque Comedy. Now, I first heard this piece. There was an RCA series of modern music, of contemporary pieces, and they were conducted by Igor Bukatov. Remember him? And they had Bennett's First Symphony and lots of strange pieces. They had the Sessions Third, I think, or second maybe. And there's weird modern pieces. And among the weird modern English pieces, for some reason, was the Bach's Overture to a Picaresque Comedy. I had no idea what a Bach's was. I had not yet visited the planet Baxia, and I hadn't enjoyed the delightful charms of the residents and the denizens of Baxia, the Baxians, who are just so full of enthusiasm for this music. And it just grabbed me immediately, too. These are all pieces that have hooks. You listen to it, they just hook you. They get you. And this is one of those, that opening tune. I know there are not a lot of people who run around singing Bach's Overture to a Picaresque Comedy, but that's what happens with it. You hear it once and it's just stuck, and it has a fabulous, fabulous second subject. A really sort of intentionally tacky romantic tune, marked vibrato in the cellos. Oh, God, it's wonderful. So much fun to listen to, and full of that sort of Bachian bluesy chromatic harmony, slushy stuff. But it's done in such a way that it always, sort of just adds to the character and charm of the piece. If you don't know this overture, you really should hear it. You're going to enjoy it, especially at the very end when the second subject starts to dance with the tambourine. Yeah, it turns into a waltz. Oh my gosh. Great piece. Absolutely great piece. Schreker. Franz Schreker. Well, this isn't called an overture. It's a prelude, but it's the same thing. The Prelude to a Drama. Now, the prelude to a drama is the prelude to the opera Die Gezeichneten, the branded. That doesn't mean they're branded like, Kellogg's. I mean, branded as in, branded. And I don't know what they're branded with, by the way. Anyway, or why. But, the opera itself is crazy. I don't know. I've talked about it before. It's about, an ugly guy and a woman who's a painter who sees his inner beauty, but she has a heart condition. If she has sex, she's going to drop dead. But, the ugly guy's rich, and he gave this town his pleasure island. And so one of the guys is kidnapping all the women in Florence or wherever the hell it is, and taking them to the pleasure island and ravishing them. And of course he grabs the painter, her name's Carlotta, I think, and, ravishes her, and she discovers that she actually likes it. And she looks at the ugly guy and she can't see his inner beauty anymore because he's just ugly. And then she dies, and then he goes insane. And you don't need to know. The bottom line is, the prelude to a drama is just one of the yummiest pieces of post-romantic decadence that you will ever encounter. It's dreamy and luscious and incredibly scored and full of gorgeous dudes. It's just like one of those Gustav Klimt gold paintings where you have these figures that are encrusted with all of this elaborate gold dripping ornamentation. Oh gosh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's about 18 minutes long. It's a major piece. It was expanded into a sort of tone poem-esque type thing, but it's still the prelude to a drama. And if you want to go hear the whole opera, boy, it's a fun opera. Bear listened to it and said, it's really, really beautiful. I loved it. A little bit kitschy. Absolutely. Terrific stuff. And last but not least, number 16, Bernard Herrmann, North by Northwest. It's actually very interesting. It's a movie that has a real overture. Of course, in the movie, the overture doesn't end. There's a concert ending, and it runs directly into the movie proper, the first scene with Cary Grant and all that stuff. But it opens in Grand Central Station with all the commuters running around and Alfred Hitchcock trying to get on a bus and not getting on. It's phenomenal. And Bernard Herrmann wrote this 3-minute overture, which is a fandango. Oh, it's amazing. And the really cool thing about it, I think, actually, is that you hear, Bernard Herrmann was a Britophile, and he adored English music, and he adored Elgar. And if you listen to the proximate inspiration for this piece is the scherzo of Elgar's Second Symphony, particularly the coda of it, after the huge big climax and all stuff, when it calms down. But it's when it starts really, picking up for the ending, especially where you have the woodwind, the descending scale, and it's going, well, you hear that in the Overture to North by Northwest. You hear his fondness for that whole British tradition that Elgar represented, which was, Elgar's own style, which was rhythmically sometimes quite intricate and fun, and his wonderful orchestration and gleaming use of woodwind sonorities to add an edge to that sumptuous string sound. I mean, that's where Bernard Herrmann got a lot of it, and you can tell in the North by Northwest overture. But aside from that, it's just a great overture. It's tons of fun, and it makes a great way. I mean, I think with film music, I think it makes a wonderful way to end this series of 16 overtures I absolutely couldn't live without. And I'm very interested to see if you have up to, but not more than, 16 of your own. Enjoy picking and choosing and listening and sending in your own suggestions. Thanks for joining me, and keep on listening, friends.